guys, welcome to another week of Orange Baptist Church Children's Virtual Sunday School. I'm just sitting here doing one of my favorite hobbies, painting. I love to paint, and recently I started watercoloring, and I really love to watercolor. Do you have any hobbies? Maybe you like to play soccer, or maybe you like to dance, or maybe you like to do art like me, or cook, or I know there's so many things you could possibly learn how to do. Well, if you're like me, when you have a hobby that you really love, you try to learn as much as you possibly can about it. So you might buy, well, look, I've got lots of different paintbrushes that I've bought to try to learn how to use better. And I've got all sorts of different paints that I like to learn how to mix together to find special colors. And I get different sizes of paper and different textured paper and try to see what it looks like if I paint on a different kind of paper. And then I have little gadgets and things to help me be able to do it better. Like I have this easel right here. I don't know if you can see it, but that helps me when I'm painting. It holds my picture up so that I can prop it up and paint without it moving all around. I have a tripod that helps me with my picture. I mean, I have all sorts of little things that help me to be better at my hobby. And because I love it so much, that's why I keep getting all these things, because I just enjoy doing it. Do you have any hobbies? What do you like to do? Maybe you love to run. Maybe you love football. Maybe you love knitting or sewing or cooking. I like to cook too. That's another hobby of mine. Maybe you like to hunt, or maybe you like to take care of animals. There's all different types of hobbies that you could have. Well, I have a question for you. What would you say if I asked you to trade your hobby, where you can never do it again, for something else? That might be really, really, really hard to do, because I love my hobby. I don't know that I necessarily want to give up painting. But what if someone were to ask me to give it up for something even better than painting? Like, maybe I can't ever paint again, but I'll be the best singer there ever was. Or maybe I won't be a great cook anymore, but I will be able to run really, really fast. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about having to give up something that you really love? It would be so hard, wouldn't it? Well, our Bible story today kind of has this situation. I'm going to read it to you, and then let's talk about it. So it comes from the book of Mark, chapter 1, verses 14 through 20. Let's listen. It says, "After John was put into prison, Jesus went into Galilee, proclaiming the good news of God. 'The time has come,' he said, 'the kingdom of God is near. Repent and believe the good news.' As Jesus walked beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen." That was their hobby. It was their career too. "Come, follow me," Jesus said, "and I will make you fishers of men." At once they left their nets and followed him. When he had gone a little farther, he saw James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John in a boat, preparing their nets. Without delay, he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men and followed him. Can you believe that? So here they are. They love fishing. They're fishermen. They fish because they like it, but they also fish because it brings them money. It's part of their job. It's what they do in their community. And guess what? Jesus says, you know what? If you leave that and you come follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Meaning you won't put your fishing pole out for fish anymore. You're going to be a disciple of mine, and you will catch people for me. Well, that's a really cool trade. He went from, they both went from being able to fish for a living to being able to fish for men for a living, which is super cool. They loved God so much, and they believed in what he was doing so much, and what he said really hit their soul in such a way that they knew that that was going to be a much better thing to do than to stay where they were. And so they got up and they left and they went with Jesus and they became one of his disciples. Well, guess what, friends? God is calling us to be his disciples too. Now, the good news is you're not going to have to give up your hobby to do this. I don't have to give up painting to be a disciple for God. I don't have to give up any of that stuff. I just wanted you to think about what that might look like for those disciples. But we are still called to go after people for God. We are still called to show the love of Jesus to people around us so that they will want to be with him as well. And that's good news. That's the gospel, is to share the love of Jesus Christ with everyone we come in contact with. So friends, I hope that you really think about a way that you could share Jesus's love with someone this week. And keep up those hobbies because there's lots of fun. Now next, we're going to have a fun little craft, and we're going to make our own nets. We're going to be our own fishermen. So stay tuned and I will show you just how we're going to do that. All right, so I love this craft that we're about to do. We're going to bake a fishing net, just like the fishermen in the boat had fishing nets that they threw out over the boat to catch their fish. Now, the reason I like this craft is, one, because it doesn't require you to have a whole lot of supplies. You just need scissors, string, and your 10 fingers. The other reason I like it is because if you figure out how to do it, you could actually get really creative with it and do all sorts of different things. And I'll show you that when we get going. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get some yarn. Now, it doesn't matter what color, it doesn't matter how thick. If you don't have yarn and you just want to use string, you can do that. Now, I'm going to preface this with, I'm trying to record this and do this at the same time, and it might be a little tricky watching me do it. So I've included in the link a YouTube video where it shows someone doing it, probably filmed a lot better than what I'm doing. So if what I'm doing is confusing, try the link on the YouTube video because it might really help you out. But so I have a long piece of string and I haven't cut it yet. It's still connected to my yarn. And I'm going to take my hand and I'm just going to take a little tail of it and I'm going to hold it right here in between my thumb and my hand. I'm going to pinch it tight like that. Okay? Then you're going to take your string and you're going to be weaving. So if any of you guys have weaved in art class at school with paper, you know with weaving you go over and under and over and under, or in and out and in and out, okay? So we're going to be weaving through our fingers as the first step. So I'm going to, let's see, I think if we do it like this, you can see I'm going under my first finger, over my middle finger, under my ring finger, and over my pinky. Then I'm going to come back around and I'm going to go under my pinky, over my ring finger, under my middle finger, and over my first finger. Now, you should have one set of yarn on each finger on the back and the front. We're going to do it again. So we're going to go under, over, and back again. Under, over, over. Now, you should have 1, 2 strings on each finger, okay? Now here comes somewhat. It's not really tricky once you get the hang of it, but you got to watch closely, okay? So this is the bottom string and this is the top string. You're going to take this bottom string and you're going to put your finger, pull it out and put your finger through the hole so that now you have just one. Watch again. You're going to take that bottom string, pull it out, put your finger in it, and do that. Same, go all the way through all your fingers, like that, okay? And then you want to kind of tighten it a little bit and get it feeling kind of even. All right, does that make sense? So now you still have this string right here, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to go over, under, and then back again, over, under, under. Now once again, you should have 2 strings on each one. Does that make sense? You always want to have 2 on there. So we're going to do the same thing, and we're always starting on this side of our hand on our first finger. So we're going to take the bottom string, stick our finger in it, and go over. Middle finger, ring finger, pinky. Okay? And again, you've got your string, and you're gonna go, let's see, I'm trying to make it so you can see. Over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. So once again, you've got 2 strings on each finger. And you're just gonna keep doing this over and over and over again. Every time you loop the string over, you're getting another row of your fishing net, okay? So we're gonna do it again. We're gonna take the bottom one, put our finger in. Now, to keep you from getting bored, I'm gonna stop the video and I'm gonna show you what happens after you've done this over and over again so you can kind of see what it's gonna look like, okay? But right now you should kind of start to have your net forming right here. It doesn't really look too much like it at the moment, but it will, I promise. All right. Okay, so I've done it a couple more times, and as you can see, I have knitted the beginning of a very small fishing net. Now, if I put this in the water, would it catch a fish? No, it's too small. But I have a feeling that when the people back in Jesus' day had to make their own fishing nets, they probably had to do something similar. They probably had to take string and tie it off and make different holes that were small enough that the water could get through it, but the fish couldn't get through it. And it probably took a lot of time. So this might take you some time too. You might have to practice it a couple times to get it just right. But once you have it, you can either keep it that way to remind you that you can be a fisher of men, or you could get super creative. And the longer you made this, you could make a really cool scarf. You could did it long enough to go around a mug as like a mug warmer. Or if you got really creative, you could try to make it into some sort of hat or something like that. So there's all sorts of knitting, finger knitting videos out there on YouTube. So if you really like doing this, maybe this will be your new hobby and you can learn more and more about it and figure out how to do it. But I think it's a fun activity. So I hope you enjoy. If you look at the other links, the other things that I have in there is I have a Fishers of Men song and a Bible story that's animated that shows you how Jesus went out and found his disciples who were the fishermen. So I hope you enjoy and have a great week, and I'll see you again next week. All right, bye-bye.